gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's April 28th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And man, I'm excited, Matt. I'm back in studio. Last 2 days were kind of rough. No argument. Took some shots on the YouTube comments. One guy said, it was better when you did it audio only. You know, he didn't. I mean, listen. I know.
Hey, at least he said. At least he didn't say it's better off if you don't do audio or video. So at least he said audio only. That's a positive.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a compliment.
And then when we do audio only, we get requests like stick to video. We're never going to make everybody happy. But I admit it was a little rough the last couple of days. I was in a hotel room on an iPad trying to tape the show, and it was hard getting the right camera angle and everything. And you know, I look stupid. No argument.
Listen, you think you had it rough. I had the worst day of my life yesterday. I had to put the stone crab traps out of the water onto the boat and take them to dry dock because the season's over. You think you had it rough. That's rough, bro.
Wait, the season's not over yet.
It's over in a week or two, you know, but you don't leave them in the water. You know, people can take your traps once the season's over. You want to have them out of the water. But
So
there was a lot. There was still a lot of stone crabs in the water, by the way. We did not decimate the population like this video is showing.
So this was your last stone crab expedition of the season.
Yeah, not what you're showing, but yesterday was. Yeah, yesterday we went out. You're allowed to have 10 pots in the water. We took our 10 pots and put them on the boat, and we called it a year. That's it. And then so stone crabs. Now I do have 16 stone crabs sitting in my fridge because my wife wasn't home for dinner last night, and she didn't want me to eat them without her. So we're saving those for tonight. But yeah, it was a nice haul, man. Let me tell you, because of you, I actually threw back a lot of crabs with one claw. I felt bad. We had so many. Oh, please. We had so many stone crabs already in the bucket that I just started keeping one claw just for you, Gary.
So what do you do with the pods in the off season?
So they're my friends. He's in construction. So basically what he does is he takes them to his house, puts them in his driveway, sprays them down with chlorine, puts them in the sun for a couple of days after that. Then he scrapes them with a wire brush. Because
they got all kinds of barnacles on them and stuff, right?
Like yeah, I mean, we scraped them yesterday just in the water, but yeah, there's still all sorts of algae and stuff on them. And then, and then we rent them out to whoever wants to save their stone crabbers until it's the season again. No, he just puts them in a storage facility. That's it. Until the next season.
Until, I guess, October.
What's that?
October, right?
Yeah, I think, October to May, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah. All right, so the stone crabs get to regrow their claws. They're free from the pain inflicted by Matt Shodell.
There's no pain. Crabs don't have, I mean, as much as people want to say that crabs feel pain, they don't have I spoke to a scientist whose name is my father. He was a biology professor. He said crabs do not have the neural input to feel pain, whatever that connection is. They don't feel pain.
This sign says it all. I feel pain and I need my claws.
Yeah, but she feels the pain, not the crabs.
All right, well.
I will tell you, though, it is pretty cool. I don't know if cool is the right word, but like when you take a crab, without even taking the claws off, you take a crab out of the pot and you just look at it and it starts spitting at you. It just spits water right in your face. It's great.
It sounds wonderful.
Yeah, that's how they say it.
Like an experience. I think next season we should start, selling stone crab trips with Matt.
Why don't you come on you can come on one of the trips. I mean, basically,
I'm going to do that.
You're welcome to. In crab talk, when they spit, it means, please take these heavy claws off of me. I want to scamper around freely. That's what the translation is. That's what people have told me. So it's all good.
All right. I'm going to do it. I'm going to commit. Once we get to October, I'm in. All right. Another thing before we get to the news of the day is I want to apologize in public and officially to you. I lost my composure yesterday when you were being negative yet again, as always, and I said, "Goddamn negative."
Yeah. Listen, bleep you, okay? Bleep you. That's my reaction.
Listen, I put myself in timeout all day. I admit it was over the top. I was out of line. I should not have said "goddamn negative." I should have just said, "Matt, you're saying it. You keep saying it.
You keep saying it over and over again as if you're trying not to say it. I mean, who keeps saying you say a bad word? You can't keep saying it over again. First of all,
goddamn is not a bad word.
I didn't think it was a curse word until somebody said it was.
It's not a curse word. But goddamn is not a curse word.
Well, just keep saying it, Gary. I'm sure people are
emotional. I mean,
I'm sure religious people are happy to hear you keep saying it.
Listen, it's a compound effect. I mean, we do this show 5 days a week. And I hear your negativity day after day after day. And, when we're talking about, Jackson and his commit and the big NIL deal he got, it was a festival of happiness. And, you had to find some way to rain on the parade. And
I didn't rain in the parade. You were going crazy about how amazing the guy was. I was just saying he got a 56% grade last year. He didn't have very many great stats last year. He's the same player. He's not magically in the matter of a month or two when he arrives in May or June going to be an all-ACC player. I said his upside is amazing. I said give him a couple of years to be All-American or All-ACC. I said probably not this year. God forbid. So you can say God forbid. God forbid I tell the truth.
All right. Well, I apologize for being over the top. Okay, and I'll apologize one more time. I'm sorry I was over the top. Today, I'm going to get up to you because right now, as we finally, 6 minutes into the show, get into the news of the day. We apologize, everybody, that it's taking so long. But I'm going to give you something to be negative about because it is negative. This is negative, okay? I'm Mr. Positive. I'm telling you, what we're about to talk about is negative. Today is the first day of the NFL draft, okay? And there is not going to be a Miami Hurricane chosen today on the first day of the NFL draft. And, you've heard me, so many times through the last many years talking about the talent deficiency on the team. The fact that there weren't enough elite players on the team. And, certain people like to argue about that. I'm going to give one a shout out right now. Carlos Walker, our YouTube listener, Carlos Walker. He's very passionate. And he comes at every day. He posts the same thing. Gary, it's about the development. It's not about the talent. They have talent. It's about the development. And you know what, Carlos? In some cases, you're probably right. But there's a bottom line. Today's NFL draft day, Matt. There's not going to be a Miami Hurricane chosen day one. There may not be a Miami Hurricane chosen day two either. In fact, there probably won't be. And this year's class is going to be going more than likely into day three, which will be Saturday. Life or death on whether they're going to even get drafted at all. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, everyone who knows Carlos, you apparently don't, he likes to be called the CW, okay? So stop calling him Carlos. He's the CW. Now, in terms of you being so negative about the draft, I mean, I don't know why you're always so damn negative, Gary, because look at the positives.
This is a negative. 7 games it's going to change, but this is a negative.
They won 7 games last year with these horrible players that can't be drafted. They won what an amazing coaching job they did. Why are you being so negative? Anyway, now I got that out.
Hey, what do you think? What do you think the guy that we're not allowed to name, so we won't? What do you think he thinks about what's going on in Miami right now with the Latin community and some high profile guys like the Moss brothers and John Ruiz all stepping up to the plate to make Miami football a national power again. And the guy who shall not be named is sitting there off in State College, Pennsylvania. I wonder what he thinks watching all of this.
I mean, you want to know the truth? What I actually think he thinks?
Yeah.
I think he's happy. I think he's a Miami Hurricanes fan. I think he wants Miami to do well. And I think fans have been a little rough on him. At his core, Manny Diaz wants the University of Miami to be he wants the University of Miami to be great. He wasn't able to do it. But if there's a guy who is, I think he roots for Miami when he watches these games. I think he wants them to win. Now, the draft, since you asked me about the draft.
Tonight, we get living evidence of what a horrible job Manny Diaz.
Not just tonight. What about day 2 and day 3? I mean, ESPN's Matt Miller thinks one hurricane gets taken, and that hurricane he has going number 260 out of the 262 total picks as Charleston Rambo. Now, to put that in perspective,
wait, he doesn't think Bubba Bolden even gets drafted?
No, he has one guy getting drafted, and that's Rambo. That's it.
In round 7.
In round 7 with the third to last pick.
Wow. And Rambo obviously was a transfer.
And you know what? And the scary thing is, it's possible because what is Bubba Bolden or Mike Harley really done that says NFL player? You know, Bubba Bolden really struggled with his physicality and tackling last year before his injury. Now he's coming off an injury. He didn't light anything up in terms of testing. Mike Harley's really, really fast, but he's not NFL size. Rambo, you know, should get drafted, I would think, but he might be the only one. To put this in perspective, okay, how many times has Miami had one player taken? Okay, that last happened 13 years ago. If nobody goes in this draft, if Matt Miller's right, and if Rambo winds up just being a free agent and doesn't go third to last in the draft, I mean, it is possible they'll have no one drafted, which would be crazy. It's possible. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible. Do you know the last time that happened, Gary?
No, but I could tell you.
Well, I was 3 years old.
You know, I'm looking.
So it was 1911. No, it was 1974.
I've got an interesting chart in front of me here, and credit for this goes to the people at on3.com who are developing all kinds of great data. And so I pulled up Miami's draft records for the last 10 years, and it shows how many picks per year, and it breaks them down by star level coming out of high school. So Miami had four guys drafted in 2021 and 2020, 5 guys drafted in 2019, 6 in 2018, 9 in 2017, and now in 2022 they might have 1 or 2. So, you know, it just is showing you the just horrific job, and this goes back to Mark Richt too. Like, let's not blame it all on Manny Diaz. Like, it goes back to Mark Richt as well. Just horrible recruiting, horrible evaluation, horrible player development. All of this getting fixed now, hopefully under Mario Cristobal with this elite coaching staff. But, you know, you won't start to see the dividends pay off on that. So you might start seeing it next year, but it'll, you know, it's going to take a couple years probably. I mean, even these transfers, some of them have multiple years left to play college football. But it is going to get better. But as it pertains to the NFL draft, which starts tonight, if you're tuning in expecting to see a Miami Hurricane chosen tonight, you're probably going to be disappointed. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. So, look, there were 4 Canes that were invited to the NFL Combine: Bubba Bolden, John Ford, De'Ara King, and Charleston Rambo. And, you know, like Matt said, I still think Bolden has a chance to get drafted. I don't know that John Ford will get drafted. I'm not sure De'Ara King will get drafted. And Rambo, I think, will get drafted. I agree with Millen on that, that'll happen. But, you know, Mike Harley, Amari Carter, Zach McLeod, Jared Williams, Cam Harris, DeAndre Johnson, Navon Donaldson, they're all probably going to be free agents. And, you know, I don't know that any of them, Matt, are going to make an NFL roster.
I mean, look, a perfect example of just some of the issues this team's had, right? They're not going to have a linebacker drafted in this draft. So in the last 6 years, do you know how many linebackers they'll have had drafted after this NFL draft? They're going to have one linebacker U in the last 6 years will just have been drafted in any of the first 7 rounds.
And that was the guy who shall not be named's position. He was the guy recruiting that position. And he was a 4th, it's true. And he was a 4th rounder too, Shaq Quarterman. But yeah, it's massive failure on the NFL scale. You could say Gregory Rousseau. Failure at every level.
Even the first rounder, okay? Gregory Rousseau had 1 real season at Miami. So even the great first rounder, Jalen Phillips, 1 real year at Miami. You're not benefiting from the 2, 3, sometimes even 4-year guys that wind up being first rounders, usually 2 and 3-year guys. But you know, so even the best of the best that Miami's had just have had 1-year impacts. And this is, really why I say recruiting is so important, because you can't, it's nice to have a first rounder, but it's nice to have a first rounder that's not only here for 1 year. And I think Mario Cristobal is going to get back to that. At some point, we'll discuss. There is a vicious cycle with taking transfers. Whereas when you take a ton of transfers, you have to keep taking transfers because they leave your program so early. And we'll discuss that at some other time. But I mean, that's just the reality. But Mario Cristobal had no choice because of what we're talking about, right? There's a lack of talent. There's a lack of NFL talent on this roster now. There's been a lack of top-level NFL talent on this roster in general for the last 5 years plus. And if Mario wants to win now, he knows the only way to break that cycle is in the short-term transfer portal, in the long-term recruiting. But it's hard to get off of that transfer portal cycle stuff, and we'll talk about that another time.
All right, so we've got a preview of the NFL draft on the site today, and we also have some recruiting coverage. But before we get to that, I want to take a minute and let's hear from our friends at LifeWallet.
We here at LifeWallet take security very seriously. Our data security team is working constantly to make sure that your data is not accessed by anybody who you don't authorize.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah,
Excuse me, sir. Thank you.
I have talked to CC, and he's thinking about it, and I'll be talking to CC. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We use leading technology standards like biometric data to make sure that only you have access to your data and your identity is protected. LifeWallet gives you access to your entire medical history and information at the touch of your finger, so that it can save you time and can save your life.
Data transfer complete.
Hey, by the way, how many people can you fit on that stone crab boat?
2.5.
I was thinking about that during the commercial. 2.5.
We fit 3.
3.
But 2.5's better. It's a small boat. Two large regular sized people, and 1 half-size person.
So there's not even room for me to go with you.
Yeah, you'll sit in the bow. You'll be fine.
All right. Anyway, so we do have some recruiting coverage today. The recruiting continues. Coaches on the road, players flowing through campus. It never ends under Mario Cristobal. So the first story we have today is on 4-star Indiana offensive tackle Luke Burgess. Took a visit this month with his family, and he updates where things stand with the Canes now. We also catch up with an intriguing kid. I'm going to be interested to see what happens with this one. I don't know if Miami will end up taking him or not, but he did make his way out to Miami a couple times this spring, and that's Miami Killian defensive end Dylan Stevenson. He breaks down his recruitment. We also have an update on Pennsylvania tight end Marcus Dixon. He was evaluated at his school by Alex Mirabal. Now is listing a Miami offer. And then we also, on a non-football recruiting note, we have a story on Cody Kimball, who is the new assistant coach for Jim Larinaga, replacing Chris Caputo, who's now the head coach at George Washington. So, a few different things for you guys to sink your teeth into today. Not the busiest day, admittedly, but couple good updates for you, and you can take a look at our NFL draft preview. And so Matt, pretty mellow day today, I would say. I mean, no
such thing as a mellow day. The coaches on the road recruiting, doing spring evals. There'll be more offers going out today. I did get a few notes on some South Florida Express kids. If you want to hear about that.
Let's talk about that because it's interesting.
Okay, so let me.
You and I talk about this stuff all the time. For those of you that don't know, South Florida Express is like the elite 7-on-7 team this year in South Florida. They had a lot of good players. Even Jaden Rashada, a quarterback for them at one event, and that was the other Immortals that he quarterback for. But South Florida Express has a lot of really, really good players this year, and
Every
and
year.
I've been noticing.
Every year.
Huh?
No, their coaches do a great job with those kids. I mean, Brett Getz is I like Brett Getz a lot. He's a friend of mine. He's great. And that's not who I get this information
We've been
from.
noticing
Yeah.
that a lot of their guys don't seem to be talking up Miami a lot, and we've been trying to figure out why. And so you did some digging into that yesterday. So yeah, go ahead, give us an update on it.
Yeah, this is from just people around the program. This isn't from Brett Getz or any of the coaches. They don't talk about their kids like that, but just some different stuff on some of the players there. So Brandon Innes, I think, is confirmed a long shot. I'm not quite sure why. He doesn't really say Miami's out of it, but
he's always
apparently
seemed to want to leave. He's always seemed to want to go away to college.
Yeah. So I mean, they're not going to give up on him. Hakeem Williams, it's Miami is definitely in his picture, which is great and high up in the picture. But someone said that don't be shocked if he winds up at a weird school like a Louisville or even a Tennessee. And remember, a lot of these schools are going to really push. The NIL money is obviously important, and a lot of these schools will just push all this money towards just a few prospects, whereas Miami's spreading it out.
Great point.
So
Hakeem Williams might get a big NIL deal.
Yeah. So if the Louisville booster, if God forbid they do this illegally, but if somehow the word gets to the booster in Louisville, like, hey, these are the 3 kids we want that'll help the program turn around, and one of them's Hakeem Williams, he could get a $500,000 to $1 million deal. Like, who's to say no? I don't know that a Miami booster whose name rhymes with Juan Luis would match that or not, but we'll have to see. Nathaniel Joseph.
You're allowed to say Ruiz's name.
I prefer to rhyme his name with other people. That's just how I roll. I mean, you're Larry Berman.
It's he who shall not be named, whose name you're not allowed to mention.
All
John Ruiz is very much.
I can say his name. Okay, nobody could figure out who it was, so I'll just say it. No, it was John Ruiz. That's what I meant. Nathaniel Joseph, would not be a surprise if he winds up at Miami. Obviously, he's committed to Clemson. We just did a story on him. You guys all know the deal there. Mark Fletcher apparently felt, because of his size and the way that the backs are used at Ohio State, he felt like that was just a fit. And I guess maybe if Miami somehow shows this year that they don't have a bigger back really, but if Trevante Citizen somehow is the guy and has a big year, I don't know that Fletcher would want to come, because then Trevante Citizen's coming back. But basically he sees Ohio State has big, powerful backs like he is. He hasn't seen Miami use guys like that, so that's really factored into him a lot. Cormani McLean, I know Miami fans really want him. It's very much a long shot from what I'm hearing. Probably looking like Bama or Florida for him. And, Lamar Seymour is obviously on the South Florida Express too. And as we've said, it's to be determined if they're really going to keep him or not. I think a lot will hinge on A, if a lot of other top receivers come in, and B, how he plays his senior year. So that's just sort of the quick update just from talking to, some people around that program.
Yeah, it's goofy. We talked about this a couple of days ago. You're just not going to get every kid in South Florida. There's too many of them. But, so we'll continue to see how that goes. All right, so that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. For Matt Shodell, who I thought was relatively well-behaved today. I'm Gary Ferman, who I thought remained relatively calm today and kept myself under control. We hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow, everybody.